Good morning, everybody. And I promised you I would be back in November. What is it today?
November 8th.
Is it the 8th already? Oh my gosh.
We're going to blink and it's going to be 2019. Watch.
I'm ready. Let winter go by because I am ready. So,
yeah.
But anyways, welcome back, guys. And I have such a great show for you. And my guest, who's probably going to be a regular, she's going to blow your socks off. But this show today is for all of you light workers, spiritual warriors out there who have a story. We all have a story. And, you know, all of us light warriors or spiritual warriors, whatever you want to call yourself, you know, we come here and with our bright light, we're targeted. We're targeted by narcissists and psychopaths and organic portals, you know, and it's just not limited to close relationships and family. You know, these narcissists in our life, they treat us like we are never enough, you know, and no matter what we do to change ourselves for them, it's never enough and it never will be enough. And that's just how it is. That's how they target us. So the more our light is shining and spreading, the more attention we will get from the dark and the more that they will throw crap at us. You know, all the nasty people that we see out there and we watch them and it just seems like they're winning all the time, even though they're out there doing nasty things. And we wonder, where is the justice in our world? But you know what? Our time is coming. Our time is coming, and we are winning even though we think the world is against us. And that is what brings me to my guest, Sylvia Malera. And she's going to be Malera for just a short time. But she contacted me because she saw me one of my videos. But this girl is one of those down and out spiritual warriors, and her journey from the dark night of the soul to quantum hypnosis healing therapist is just fascinating. And I think what she has to tell us today falls into all of this. You know, we come here to do a job and we're constantly being shut down. And her story is so fascinating, from where she started and where she's gone and how she manifested this and how you can do this too. So my dear Sylvia, I'm so glad. I just loved her. We talked the other day and I just loved her from the first moment she said, hi.
Oh, I love you too.
So, okay, girl. You know, start out. I mean, you just have so many fascinating stories.
Oh my God. I feel like my life is a freaking movie. Many movies, not even one. It just feels like I'm constantly having to reinvent myself. So I started out, well, let me start from the very beginning. I believe that the dark, for lack of a better word, knows who we are before we know who we are. And you think, who am I? I'm nobody. I'm just a regular person. I'm just a kid who grew up in a crappy neighborhood in Chicago. But I remember, and looking back, and many of you can look back and see a theme. So my theme was always, the dark was always attacking me. I remember being a toddler. I'm talking 2 years old, 3 years old, on the top bunk bed. And my little sister slept on the bottom bunk bed in a bad neighborhood in Chicago. And my parents were asleep, and I would get pushed off the top bunk bed. They would push me off every freaking night. And I saw them. They were demons. And I didn't know how to articulate this. Obviously, a lot of kids say, oh, you know, there's a monster in my room. Believe them, because kids can see. And I feel like as adults, like you get the veil washed over you, and you forget and you forget and you forget, and you get that amnesia that the Matrix puts on you. So you you forget and you push it away because grown-ups tell you, oh, you're imagining it. It's not real. There's nothing in here. Well, they don't have the sight anymore, and kids do. So I remember I would tell my mom and my dad in my baby talk, the exorcist is here. Reagan, she's in my room. And I didn't know what to call it because I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I got the same feeling from these beings that I got from that girl from that movie, The Exorcist in the 70s. And so I called it that, but I didn't know what it was. So anyway, I remember my entire childhood, just night terrors, being attacked in the astral, in the dream state, in the awake state, just constantly. I feel like they want to stop you. They want you to kill yourself. They want you to be fearful. But what they don't anticipate is that they train you. And when something is difficult, it makes you strong. Just like lifting weights. When you lift a weight, you have to tear that muscle apart, and then it grows huge. And that's what it is. That's why you get sore, because you're ripping muscles and then they get big after they grow back, right? So that's how you build a muscle. So my entire life like that, very abusive, narcissistic father. He was molesting me and my sisters. Grew up in a very abusive household. Then all the boyfriends that I had after that, very abusive, physically, sexually, mentally, emotional, every kind of abuse that you can imagine. I feel like I have my PhD in abuse. And that sounds funny, but it's sad, but I wear it as a badge of honor, because I feel like, why should I be ashamed? A lot of women, which is shocking, and men want you to just be quiet, don't talk about it. And I feel like, why should I be ashamed? I didn't do anything. They did something. So I'm going to use it as to lift other women up, other men up, because it happens to all of us, whether we choose to admit it or not. It does. It happens to men and women. Look at all these teachers molesting these little boys. What the hell's going on with that? I mean, the world is in shambles and chaos right now. So I feel like what we thought was real is no longer the case. It's being flipped. The tables have turned. Everything's opposite. It's opposite land. So to fast forward into the future, or into the recent past, I was in law enforcement for 20 years. I was a 911 emergency dispatcher for police, fire, and medical. And that was my mission. I thought it was my mission, my job. I loved it. I loved helping people. I mean, nobody calls you on a good day for 911. They call you at their worst, at their absolute most terrifying worst. And in seconds, I had to come up with, how can I help them best? Well, you need this, and this. That's where I'm becoming, being an empath and psychic comes in so handy, because I was able to everything. I could anticipate the officer's needs before they even asked for something, the caller's needs before they even asked for something. And every time my life has, or currently has been in shambles, I see, okay, well, if I could help strangers on their worst day within seconds, minutes, to help them and save them, surely I can do that for myself. So that gives me a reality check, like, come back home, sister, you can do this, So I was in law enforcement for almost 20 years, and I got faced with a very difficult choice. A friend, she wasn't like a really good friend, but I still considered her a friend. I was fond of her. And I was a trainer. I had trained everybody that I worked with. And I mean, I'm a police veteran. I had been there for a long time. These people were like my family. I mean, after decades, you're no longer coworkers, you're family. And you spend holidays with these people, so you're always there. We knew each other's kids, each other's, spouses, whatever. And so it felt more like siblings. So I was faced with a death threat against the cop. And my husband's a cop. So I thought, I have to say something. Now you're making me have to say something. And I did not want to. I didn't want to get her in trouble. But at the same time, how am I going to sleep at night or look at myself if I know that I can save somebody's life? I have to, I can't not do it, you know? So I bit the bullet, I reported it, and I'm thinking, you know, logically in my mind, well, oh well, I lost a friend, too bad, you know. But I really never thought that anything negative would befall me, because this is my family. This is my home. These are my people. Oh no, they flipped on me 1000%. And I started seeing the corruption. I started seeing the cover-ups. I started seeing a different side of people, and I was fired for it. First, they put me on investigation. What the hell are you investigating? Because I had nothing to gain from reporting a death threat. What the hell do I care? I'm going home, but I don't know if he's going home. So that's why I'm making it your business, and you can investigate or you can ignore it. I don't care what you do with it, but I need to get it off of my chest, off of my conscience, and report it to you, and you do whatever you want with it. I'm just letting you know. And they said, oh, you had your phone, your cell phone. You got the death threat on your cell phone. And you're not supposed to have your cell phone. Well, I have kids. I like lived at that freaking office. I mean, sometimes I work 12 hours straight, sometimes 15. And I only came home to sleep a few hours and then go right back in, because that was the job. And I took an oath. You know, the needs of the department, the needs of the community come before your personal needs. Okay, I'm sacrificing a friendship for the job. And what did I get? I got fired for it after all those years of service. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? Am I in another reality? Who are you? What? Like, I could not logically understand what was going on. Well, that was the beginning of my awakening. Because right at that same time, right before I got fired, in hindsight, I'm looking back, and I started seeing, a few months before I got fired, I started seeing 2 angels that would follow me to work. At the time, I didn't know they were angels. I thought I was going nuts. I had a blue light that would follow me right here, and then a white light right here. And they were everywhere I went. Even if it was morning, afternoon, nighttime, they were always right here. And at work, in the office, at the 911 center, they were right here. And I'm thinking, is it my glasses? Is it my contacts? Can you see these lights? No, what are you talking about? And then I start getting the call to look up angel numbers. They weren't like, you know, 1111 or 222, the most popular ones. They were random numbers like 35, 42, just a number that you wouldn't consider an angel number. But in my head, I heard, look it up. So I looked it up, and I heard in my head, we're talking to you. So I knew, I didn't know that I could do this. I didn't know that I could hear thoughts. I didn't know that I could communicate. And I heard in my head, we are communicating with you. We're guiding you. So when we talk to you, we're going to talk to you through numbers, because we have to get you used to it. And we have to see if you're willing, because I believe all of us can do this. We all do this, but whether or not you are brave enough to listen, brave enough to open and allow yourself to receive, and then do what they tell you to do. And I mean, only if it feels good, because the dark can trick you. You can get tricked by the dark. The dark is constantly whispering a bunch of bullshit in your ear. And I've had that too, where they project negative song lyrics in my ear, like suicidal words or suicidal thoughts, or just really dark stuff. And it sounds like your voice, so you think it's you, but then when you know what it is, then you see the pattern, you're like, oh, I see what they're doing. So what I do to combat that is no, you don't agree with it, and you push it out. And then if it's a good thought, then you can choose whether you go with it or not. I believe life is just a series of choices. In every moment, you can go dark or you can go light. You can choose fear or you can choose love. So I was being guided. I didn't know why these numbers were showing up. And the same message I kept getting over and over was the 911, which is the light workers step up because you're being called. And I didn't know, so it was like a fight in my head, because it was a new reality emerging, but then the old me was still there. So I'm like, oh, I'm going crazy. No, this is ridiculous. Like, they're not talking to me. Like, what? No. And I didn't tell anybody, because who are you going to tell? Especially in a world like that, a bunch of cops, you can't tell anybody. I didn't even tell my husband. I didn't tell anybody. I would tell my kids. because my kids were seeing the lights too. They would see white lights. My light was blue, which is Archangel Michael, and then Archangel Gabriel was the white one. And so we would talk because I knew they weren't judging me because they were seeing it too, but nobody else was seeing it. Then on my way to work, I would see orbs, big white orbs floating in the bushes and the trees. And I'm like, okay, it's a bubble. I don't know why that's there. I'm going crazy. And then on one occasion, I saw this giant owl. It was a child. When I first saw it, I was in my uniform. I was wearing my badge. I was wearing all my outfit to go to work. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was really dark in the winter. And I remember thinking, what the hell? There's a kid in the road. And I felt like that was a trap. The dark was trying to trap me. But I didn't know because, you tend to think, oh, if I'm not scared, then it's not malevolent. Well, that's not true. So I was like rushing to get out of the car and I was putting my brake on and I was going to get out and see why is this baby walking around. It looked like a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old in the street in a country road at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, where's the mother? So I was about to get out and I feel like my guidance intervened, or those orbs maybe intervened, and I was shown it was an owl. It shape-shifted from a kid to an owl. This thing was giant. It was like 3 feet tall. And I'm thinking, what the hell? That's an owl. And my headlights were shining into the eyes of the owl. And it looked so evil. And I thought, I'm not getting out of this car. So I just locked my door really fast and I got the hell out of there. But do you see, I feel like if I would have gotten out of that car, something would have happened to me. I feel like I would have been taken, because now I'm seeing all the near misses and looking back. At the time, you just think, well, it's weird, it's crazy, but you don't put 2 and 2 together, especially because I didn't know anything about this world. I had no clue what it's like walking into a Harry Potter movie and you're like, where am I? And that's how it felt, like ice water on your face. So I get fired. And the angel numbers that kept popping up was, we're holding your hand tightly as you go through these changes. But I mean, nothing was happening because I was seeing it for months and months and months and months. It's like they were warning me, but I took it for granted because I thought, oh, well, nothing's happened and it's been months. So it's nothing, So I just didn't pay any mind, and then all hell breaks loose. December of 2015, I get fired. Or not fired. That's when I get put under investigation. Then I get fired the following year in April in 2016. And that was my dark night of the soul. I mean, I was curled up in a ball in my bathroom, in my closet. I wanted to die. I contemplated suicide. Honestly, the only thing that kept me here was my kids, because I thought, I can't leave them in this world alone. Like, I have to protect them and I have to guide them. And they're the future. So it's my responsibility to create, beings of light that stand in their integrity and truth. So I was really torn, because I feel like the dark night of the soul was me dying. The old me was dying, and the new me was barely cracking the shell to be born. And I feel like I needed that hard of a baseball bat to the forehead to wake up, because in hindsight, I see all the times that they tried to wake me up, but I didn't. I refused. I'm like, nah, I'm going back to sleep. And this time they're like, you can't go back to sleep. You have to wake up. So I got fired, and it was the biggest blessing, because I hated working there. I would cry on my way to work. I would cry in the parking lot. I would cry putting on my uniform. I would tell my husband, I don't want to work here anymore. I loved what I did, but it wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't fun because I saw all the corruption. I was shown a lot of things, that we could talk about that on another show, but they showed me some really dark stuff that was going on that matched the bigger Big Brother. Mm-hmm. They're twins. The little one is the same as the big one. And they showed me, and I was like, wow. And by they, I mean my guidance, my higher self, the goddess, God, whatever you want to call it. I feel like we're connected to all of it. It's just in octaves, So, but it comes down the same way. And I hate even doing this because when people say, oh, connect to source, for me, it's not up here. It's in here. I feel like it comes out of you. I don't think there's anything outside. It's here.
That's
This
right.
is the portal, right?
It is. Yeah, it's just another way of keeping that separation. Oh, it's up there. You know?
Right. Yeah. Honestly, I kind of wonder, is there anything up there? I don't think so. I think everything is in. And I feel like what I've been learning is wherever they want you to look the opposite way, because that's where it is. So my eyes go to the ocean. What the hell is down there? Because, oh, we don't know. It's unexplored. Bullshit. Yes, you do know. There's a bunch of stuff down there.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not limited to the ocean. I feel like ponds, lakes, they're all portals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Well, you know, and just get back to what you were hinting about, what you were getting exposed to in the department was that really dark, satanic, sexual ritual, you know, and I really think you need to kind of touch on that a little bit, because the problem is so many people, especially the people that are very Christian, they talk about it, preach about it, but they don't want to believe that it's really there. And it's there. People.
It's hiding in plain sight. That's the best place to hide, is in plain sight. I remember growing up, my mom's super Catholic. I'm not religious in the traditional sense. I've always had a very strong connection to God. Yeah. I've always known God is not in a building. That never made sense to me. And I questioned the hell out of my dad, my mom. Why would God get mad if I don't go to a building on a Sunday? That makes absolutely no sense. To me, I feel like God is everywhere. God is in my bedroom. God is in the flowers and the trees and the sunshine. He's not in a building on a Sunday. He doesn't. Sunday doesn't even exist. Sunday is a freaking construct of the Matrix. So as a child, I just knew it. I knew it. And I feel like that's why I was targeted. So in that department, and I'm not saying I'm Lily White and I haven't lied or cheated or stolen or anything like that. Of course I have. I feel like we all need to walk in the dark. There's a story of a shaman where a young boy goes to this shaman and he says, I want to be just like you. And he says, teach me, please. I'm your student. And the shaman looks at him and says, go live life. Go do drugs. Go have sex. Go cheat. Go get into a fight. Go steal. And he's like, oh, no, you're so pure. Why are you asking me to do that? I want to be like you. And he says, you can't teach anybody until you've gotten yourself into some shit and then get yourself out. When you get yourself out, then you can teach someone, look, I did this, this, and this is how you get out. You need to walk it and then heal yourself from that garbage. And I feel like that's what we're doing. A lot of us light workers, like we're healing ourselves. And at the same time, we teach others, hey, these are the cheat codes to get out of that black hole because I did it, right? So we're the evidence. We're the proof. So in that department, a lot of times, in hindsight again, because at the time you can't see, it's not very clear. It's very foggy. And especially because I hadn't woken up yet. But still, my guidance was there. And this is proof that we're constantly being guided, whether you're awake or not. Because now I'm looking back, I'm like, holy shit, I avoided a lot of bad things. Like that owl, I didn't know what was going on. But my guidance is like, no, come back here. So in the department, there were many times where these gross old men, and I mean, some were attractive. I'm not going to lie. They were attractive, but they were married. They would try to get me to have sex with them. And I thought, oh, like, you know, your ego kicks in. Oh, it's just because I'm cute. No, it's not. There's a bigger malevolent energy at play. And in my mind, I heard sex ritual. I didn't know what the hell that was. I just remember the words. And I'm like, what? And I mean, they would have pool parties. Who the hell has a pool party in law enforcement? Like, what? Why? That has nothing to do with, you know what I mean? Like, it made no sense. But in looking back, I'm like, oh, everything was, and now, like I said, they showed me the micro and they showed me the macro. And it was part of my awakening, like, oh, your eyes just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and your vision gets clearer and clearer. And I was shown they always did it on moons, new and full, and on holidays. Oh, we're having a party for this, and we're having a party for that, and we're having a party for everything was a party, but always on a certain time. And I never put two and two together. And now I feel like if you step back, and I have a lot of Virgo energy. So me and patterns, I'm like, oh, there's a pattern. There's a pattern. It's very easy for me to spot. And I taught myself astrology. I by no means I'm not a master. I'm not a teacher. I'm not an expert, but I can see the patterns, and that has helped me spot the patterns. If you look back and you compare that little micro to the macro, you can look and see a theme of when those FF events, the false FLAG events, that they, you know, want you to think, oh no, the world is falling apart. Oh no, it's a bunch of actors, you did that. But it's always on a full moon or on a new moon. If you go back and you research, I have looked that the Vegas shooting, it was during a moon event. Because that's when they generate the most energy. That's when they manipulate you. You know, the moon controls. I proved it. I worked in law enforcement for 20 years. Every time there was a full moon, I asked for more staff to be with me, especially during the night shift, because all hell would break loose. I have worked at labor and delivery where babies are born. That's when they all go into labor. It's something that they have manipulated with the moon to get energy from us. And it's also tied in with women's cycles. It's not supposed to hurt, but they make it hurt because they want to get as much energy out of you as possible. It makes people fight. It makes all of that. I mean, it's just chaos. It's just a machine for chaos. And I'm not saying that I don't stand in awe of how beautiful the moon is. I do. I think it's gorgeous. And the trick that I have seen is use what they use to your benefit. Flip it. Flip it. So if they can use it for something bad, you can use it for something good. Empower yourself. Do your new moon rituals. Do your full moon rituals. Pay attention, because these are the things that they're using. They have astrologers on deck telling them when to move, when not to move. So why wouldn't you? I mean, I do feel a big part of astrology has been hacked, and they do try to, my mom would always say the devil mixes truth with lies. So they have manipulated it, and I feel like it's only one tiny piece, because there's so many versions of astrology. There's tropical astrology, there's Vedic, there's heliocentric, there's all different kinds. Mayan, I feel like if each of them has a clue, just like there's so many religions, they're not all wrong. There's a lot that's right. And look, you see all the common themes that they have, but then they also have that control to it. I feel like that's where the dark comes in. Why are only men celebrated? That's bullshit.
Right.
Nobody would be on this planet without a woman. Nobody. And so it's like, you have to look at, what are you hiding? So wherever they don't want you to look, that's where you look. That's where the secret is hiding in plain sight. And I feel like that, you just have to use your discernment in anything that is so important right now, because everything's being revealed. So it's easier than ever to see people's true intentions right now. In Vedic astrology, Jupiter just entered Scorpio, and that I noticed a huge shift as soon as it clicked over. I believe it was October 9th. And I noticed in my personal life, something changed. Something feels different. And I didn't know what it was. And then I found out Jupiter entered Scorpio in Vedic. And I'm like, oh, so you see the pattern. You start noticing it and just experiment. Because the reason I started teaching myself astrology was like, what the fuck is going on? There has to be a reason. And I started researching, and astrology gave me a lot of clues. And they're clues, but you have to follow the breadcrumb, and that will lead you to something else. But always use your discernment. Don't just, blindly follow what anybody says. Oh, because they're on TV. Oh, because they're on YouTube. Oh, because they have this title. Who cares? That doesn't mean that they're perfect. You use your gut, your heart right here. The truth will always vibrate right here. And if it sounds like bullshit, it is bullshit. Like, people need to stop second guessing themselves and thinking, oh, what do I know? I don't know anything. I'm just a teacher. I'm just a mom. No, you are holy. You are sacred. And you're here for a reason. And nobody can give what you have. You have your own special signature. And we're all here. It's like a facet on a diamond. And you can't make that diamond without each little sparkle, right? So we all need each other, and we're all holding hands. So I feel like the second you know or crack the code to get up on that next rung of the ladder, it is your duty, your obligation to lift your brother, lift your sister up to the next rung. Like, hey, I'm gonna pull you up because I'm going up. Come with me. You know,
especially the women. We had talked about this before. The women that are like you and I, that are strong and know that we're strong, they're targeted more. I mean, look at the Inquisition. That whole, whole deal there. And so, I think now women really need to be listening to you, because this is when we really need to come out and we really need to reclaim our power.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've tried to shut you down so many times.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally. Absolutely. I feel like, and just because I'm saying it doesn't mean that I myself don't need help too. I look to others to remind me. It's just constantly reminding ourselves, remind yourself. I pep talk the crap out of myself every day. And then those around me, surround yourself with people like you, because then they're your mirror and they're going to say, hey, you're a badass. Don't forget, pick up your crown, put it back on. And you're like, oh, that's right. I forgot. Thanks. And we do it for others and they do it for us. So it's like symbiotic, constantly lifting each other up. So they wanted me to quit. They waited from December till April because they wanted me to crack. They essentially had me on house arrest. You are not allowed to leave your house. And if you leave, you have to ask me for permission, beg me. So it was a mind fuck. They wanted me to crack. I said, no freaking way. I refuse to quit because I didn't do anything wrong. I saved a life. Where is that wrong? No. Yeah, I violated a verbal directive, but everybody had their phones. And that seems so ridiculous, especially after no write-ups, after never getting in trouble. That made absolutely no sense. I'm like, the punishment does not match the crime. So clearly it was a witch hunt in every sense of the word. Throughout the investigation, I had, they would call me in for interrogations, just like you see on TV, with like the light in your face. And I had 2 detectives. Little old me, I'm 5'2", I'm a mother of 4. I'm like, how am I an adversary? Like, I did not understand because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was. They knew who I was, but I didn't. So to me, it didn't make sense. Why are you why are you bringing a cannon to a knife, or I had a butter knife and they had a cannon, and I'm like, why are you aiming that cannon at me? But it's like when the Hulk doesn't know he's the Hulk, of course anybody else is going to be freaking out and scared, but I didn't know I was the Hulk. So they were coming at me guns blazing, and they would scream in my face for hours. I mean, 3 hours at a time, 3 separate occasions. They would sit me in a room that was recorded, surrounded with cameras and audio equipment, and just like aimed at me. And I'm sitting there like, why are you doing all this for me? Like, this makes no sense. But they wanted me to crack. And I'm not gonna lie, when you're in that room, you're like, well, shit, did I murder somebody? Like, maybe I did. Like, why am I here? Because you don't understand. And they're trying to manipulate you mentally, emotionally, physically, by depriving you of water, of going to the bathroom, of calling for help, of anything. You're just isolated and you're sitting in that room, and they want you to say something that is not true. They're trying to trick you into saying yes, yes. into agreeing. And when they talk to you, they nod their head. They're like, you did this, right? You did this, right? And I'm like, no.
It's like the Inquisition all over again.
Yes. Yeah. A witch hunt. So they would sit there for hours. They were wearing guns. They were wearing badges. They would get this close and scream in my face. And I'm like, look, no matter how long we sit here, no matter how much you yell at me, that's not going to change the truth. The truth is the truth is the truth. So, okay, you want to sit here? You want to waste your time? Go for it. But you're not going to get a different answer from me because the truth will never change. So, okay, you want to hop up and down and cry and scream? Go for it. So I just eventually shut down. And I'm like, look, you are a stranger, essentially. Yes, I know you. I know your wife. I know your kids. I know your families because I worked with these men. But I don't love you. So there's nothing you can do to me to correct me. Like if I could withstand abuse from my father, who I love dearly, and that shattered the hell out of me, from men that I was in love with, that I had children with, they abused me. That fucking hurt. You think that what you're doing is gonna hurt? No, I just brush it off. No, we'll sit here all night. Okay, I got time. You're paying me. Let's do it. So I would just sit there and they would get so pissed because they wanted me to crack. They wanted me to cry and I refused. So there was something within me running through me that was putting out this field of energy around me and not allowing me to crack. Like my real root strength was coming out and I was standing strong. And I'm like, no. And you're not going to shut me up. No, because that's not true. And in the series of those investigations, many actual crimes that men who wore badges and swore an oath had committed in the course of their job, and they didn't do shit about them. Actual crimes that cops were committing, sergeants, lieutenants, police captains, they didn't do shit about them. And I'm like, oh, you're targeting me for having a phone, but you're not doing anything about this? This is a real crime. And I could have pursued it, but my guidance was saying, leave it alone, drop it. Oh my God, that was so hard to do because I was seeing red. I wanted blood. But see, that's where a true light worker, you have to yank yourself back because then you can very easily become a weapon for the dark. That was very challenging for me too, because I could have gone full dark. I could have. And I saw that moment where I could have just, and I'm like, no, come back here. And until this day, in my divorce, if I chose, I can go full dark. I can go real dark. But I'm like, nope. We're standing right here. We're standing in the light. And even though he has chosen the dark, I still can see who he really is. I see his potential. And that's what makes me so sad that I'm like, oh, it's so easy. I see your beauty, your light. I see it. Just come with me. I'll help you. But you can't force feed anybody light. So now I just send him love and I have him in a bubble of light and I work on him in the astral. He doesn't have to know about it. He doesn't have to thank me. Nothing. We don't need to exchange words. Because of my children, I have an obligation to you, a soul contract, and I will help you. I will heal you from afar, and I hope that you wake up. And when you wake up, I'll be here. But at the same time, I can't allow you to deplete me anymore. You cannot siphon energy from me anymore. I'm unplugging from that. And no, I'm not allowing myself to be violated anymore. And I feel like that is the last remnants of the 3D that's keeping me in that old world. So once that's over, because he is connected to law enforcement and he is a cop. So I feel once I get removed from that, then I can be blessed. I can receive my blessings because I've had knockdown, drag out, screaming matches with my team, with my higher self. Like, what the fuck is going on? Why is my life still in shambles? Why is there chaos? Why am I not making money? I applied at every freaking job I could think of. I'm talking about a gas station, Denny's, Walmart. Nobody would hire me. Nobody. And then I got the message, because you're being called to something bigger. And I came kicking and screaming, no, 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 no. And I was told, I remember the day that I was told that I had to start a YouTube channel. And I was like, not me. And they're like, oh yeah, you. And I'm like, no. And they said, you're going to post this rune. You know what runes are? They're little, I can show you. They're little tiny, these are rose quartz. Yep. They're like tarot cards, but they're Norse, like the Norse gods. So I would do it every day for myself. I would pick one for myself, and I would, you know, oh, this is the energy for today. Then they started telling me, you're going to post it online and tell people. And I said, I'm not doing that. And they said, yes, you are. You're doing it. And it was like fighting in my head, fighting. And I remember, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it after I work out. And I got on the elliptical, and they shut it down. They turned off that elliptical. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it now. Because that was really scary to me. So I went and I posted it, and I was so embarrassed. I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't want to be in the, you know, in the public. No, no. So I hid behind the name Odyssey of Enlightenment. My daughter thought of it. I just wrote out a bunch of words that sounded beautiful, and she picked those words. So that's my logo. That's my YouTube channel, Odyssey of Enlightenment. I did not want to put my name on there, and I hid behind that. And then I got told, you're going to do videos. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And they're like, yes, you are. You have to show your face, and people have to hear your voice and see your eyes. And I'm like, oh, no, because I was so filled with shame and guilt, because I thought I was broken. I thought there was something wrong with me. Everybody around me abandoned me. When I got fired, when they could no longer get something from me because of my title, because of my job, because of the money that I made, I'm talking my older daughter stopped talking to me, my siblings, my friends at work. I lost everybody. Even my husband of 18 years abandoned me. Everybody walked away. I mean, it was just me and my two little kids. That's it. And my sister, one sister out of the four, one. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I didn't understand. And I felt like, oh, well, everybody's saying I fucked up. I must have fucked up. Maybe they're right. Maybe it's my fault. But then I couldn't understand, why am I being punished for doing something good? I saved the man's life. I didn't even know him. So to me, it was just like trying to unravel this mystery, like what's happening. But then I was told, you are being purified through fire. We're washing away everything that is not authentic, everything that is violating you, everything that is lying to you. And I mean, my husband was very abusive. He was cheating. He was lying. I mean, just because people wear a badge, have a title, they're your husband, they're your father, that doesn't mean shit. A lot of people don't honor that role. Like, roles are sacred. Being a mother is sacred to me. Being a friend is sacred to me. My word is everything. If I say it, damn it, I'm going to do it. And I will try my hardest to do it. But people don't think like we do. And that's what we forget. We think everybody feels like us, thinks like us, sees the world like we do, but they don't. And that is so sad. That is the saddest part, that I had to realize he is not like me. He doesn't value precious things. He values 3D things. He values money. He values popularity, ego-based things. And I'm not like that. I don't need a lot to be happy. And he does. So he's choosing to be miserable. Okay. I was already shown all the timelines, all the possible outcomes. His higher self came to me and showed me in dream state and awake state. And I was like, oh, stop it. I don't want to see it, because they're ugly. The things that are coming for him are so ugly. And I mean, I'm sending him light. I'm sending him love, but some things are destined and they're fated. They have to happen, because he needs that thunderbolt to strike him to wake up. It's too late. People have to wake up. It's past the snooze button time. There's no more snooze. You have to wake up. And if my baseball bat was painful and mine was gradual, And it hurt like hell. I can't imagine the people waking up right now. Wow, I feel scared for them, because I'm like, mine was horrible. I can't even imagine turbo mode, like a blender.
Yep. Being in a big car crash, really,
Yeah. And it can come in any way that you can conceive of. That tower moment, like the tarot card, the tower card means destruction so that the new can come out. That's what's here right now. And Jupiter and Scorpio and the Vedic is shining a big fat light on all the secrets, all the pedophiles, all the cheating, all the lying, all the abuse. It's being amplified. So I feel like the tropical astrology, the Western, is one layer, and then the Vedic is another layer. So it's kind of like, okay, this is the first sponge that scrubs, and then here comes the next sponge that scrubs. So it's like, here we go again. So I'm like, ooh, things are about to get very, very interesting. And I can already feel the speed. I remember in the whole year thinking and asking my guidance, like, oh, come on, I'm bored. Let's go. Like, let's do this. Let's start. And they're like, enjoy your time off. Be quiet. Enjoy just doing nothing, because it's about to hit the fan. And you are going to be boots on the ground, front lines, and you will not even have a moment. I remember working in 911 was either feast or famine. There were either 12 hours where you had nothing to do and you were bored out of your mind watching infomercials, or all hell was breaking loose. Everybody was fighting, everybody was crashing, everybody was dying, and you couldn't even go to the bathroom. You couldn't eat, you couldn't drink water, because that's how busy you were. And moving. That's coming. That they showed me that. The second one, the moving. And the people that thought you were crazy, the people that talk shit, they're going to be the first ones that come to you for help, because you are a lighthouse. You're shining your light, and they're stumbling in the dark, and they're like, oh, there's a light. Let me go find help.
Well, and that's the thing. That's one of our big traps for us light workers or warriors, whatever you want to call it, is we feel like we need to help everybody now before anybody's ready, or even the ones that don't want help. And it just consumes so much of our energy,
Yeah.
So now that we're coming into that time where they're going to start looking for us, and they're just going to start going, maybe she's not so weird after all.
Yeah.
She said something long time ago, was just a simple word, and it stuck with me all these years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very important point, where you can't let them deplete you. And that's where we are being, especially as women, men too, because we all have the masculine and feminine energy within us, but mostly women, because in this matrix, women have been suppressed. And I feel like that's why we are being called. I've noticed a pattern with all my friends and my sister, where we have been forced to declare our boundaries and say no, and honor ourselves, and stop our depletion, stop our violation that we have allowed. People can't do anything to you unless you allow it. I allowed my husband to cheat on me. I allowed him to abuse me. I allowed him to, get away with murder, because in my mind, I thought that was my job, that I was supposed to, till death do us part and all that bullshit. So, it's just busting through the programming. Like, you have to reach a point where you get angry enough and say, that's it, no more. Past this line, none shall cross. No, because I have to love myself. You clearly don't do it, so I have to do it for me. And not just for me, but for these little children that I'm in charge of, and for everybody else who's watching you. We're the example. So, like, set firm boundaries and always take care of yourself first. We have, as mothers, as women, we always put ourselves last. And that's another thing that's been drilled into my head, is you first. like the airplane mask, you put it on you first, because you're useless to the collective, to the mission, if you are not 100% good. If you're not rested, if you don't feel good, if you haven't eaten, if you haven't drank enough, if you are not taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, they're all connected. So in every way, if you need a salt bath, go take that salt bath. Mommy needs a bath, I'll be back. and don't be afraid to tell people what you need and say no. That was a big one too, to say no. Are you coming to my party? From a person that really doesn't like you, they just want you to bring a present, or they just want to feel like they have a lot of people. And me saying, no, why not? Are you sick? No, I just don't want to. And you know, you don't have to be mean, but you have to be honest. We are being held accountable. You have to be authentic. You have to be honest and brave enough to say no. And this is why. Because it's a sin if you don't, that every moment is a teaching moment. So by you being brave enough to tell people the truth, you're teaching them, and you're allowing them to choose. Like if somebody litters in front of you, I hate littering. So if somebody litters in front of you and you have to call them out, hey, that's not right. Pick it up and throw it away. Or you pick it up and throw it away. And then I don't want to be around you, because to me, I don't like that. That's wrong. And,
You know, when I just wanted to say to add to that, when I started waking up, my husband, you know, he was still connected with that dark stuff. He fought me. And I finally, you know, I would take some of these classes and I'd be so afraid. Oh, this class is running a little late. Oh my God, I can hear him. He's probably going, where is she? Where is she? And I got so worried, you know, and it just finally, I just said, you know what, forget it. And I told him, I'm going to do this. And if you don't like it, there's the door, and leave.
right.
Because no matter what I'm going to do, you would have left me anyways.
Oh, yes.
And that was 25 years ago, and he's still here.
Oh, because his higher self knows that you are important and powerful. And that's what I noticed too, because I wondered, why are these people that are not on the same energetic or thought, you know, the same enlightened state as we are, why are they all around us? Because they're mooching off of your ascension. They know. So they are benefiting by proxy. Even when you walk, because the more you wake up, the bigger and bigger and bigger and brighter your aura gets. You're giant, right? So you are lifting your neighborhood, your apartment building, the school that you're in, the job that you're at, and wherever you go, you lift people. So you could go to the gas station and you're lifting everybody there on the drive. Imagine all that light you're spreading and you don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Osmosis.
Yeah. But also the same way that we're lifting others, the dark is out there too. And force. And the dark will never stop seducing you. Never. No matter how high you get, the dark will always be like, hey, you want to come over here? And so you have to be ever vigilant. Yeah. Constantly, in every moment. And it will come disguised as your kid, as a coworker, as you're always going to get an invitation to do something messed up. And so, being in integrity constantly, and with Saturn and Capricorn right now, and Pluto, all the big boys in Capricorn right now, don't do it. Don't do it. Karma will smack you. So that's why I think that my fight to hold on to that marriage probably wasn't because I wanted to stay married, because I didn't, because I knew that he wasn't good enough for me. It was my fear for him, because I know what's coming. And I wanted to protect him, because I'm like, oh, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt really bad. And I don't want that for you. But it's like, hey man, if somebody's running into a burning building, you have to let them go. You have to let them, oh, that sucks. That hurts. I'm not going to do that again. Because we had the freedom to do that. And we got burned many times. And we're like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. But some people are dumb. And they have to keep doing it. And you have to let them, because who are you? You are you're limiting their growth. So don't stand in the way. They will come back. I promise you, they will come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell us now. Tell us the story of how you became a QHHT healer.
Oh man, that's a story. So
yeah.
when I was on house arrest, I came across by accident, you know, there's no accidents. I came across Dolores Cannon. Actually, I found Julia Cannon, a YouTube video with Julia Cannon talking about the new earth. And everything in my body was screaming, yes, that's true. And I had no idea what the new earth was. I didn't even know what she was talking about. But on a soul level, on an energetic level, I knew, yes, she's right. That's true. And then I discovered her mother, Dolores Cannon, the great Dolores Cannon, rest in peace. She created her own type of past life regression hypnosis that she came across by accident by helping her husband, who was a doctor in the military. He hypnotized soldiers to go back into combat. He one day had a very important wife of his lieutenant or a colonel, and he said, hey, you know, back in the day where men couldn't be alone with women, so he said, I need you to come into the office and help me with this very important lady. She's the wife of somebody important in the military, and you need to hypnotize her because she wants to lose weight. Well, she learned, and she hypnotized this woman, and by accident, they went into past lives. So then in secret, they started meeting, and she just playing around, like, let's see what we can do with this. And she discovered that she can get people over and over again to go into past lives and access the higher self and get answers, healing to any questions that they had, because it's one energy that we're all linked to. And so anybody can access it. But she found a way she stumbled upon it, and this became her legend. Like, she gifted this to the world. So it's called quantum healing hypnosis technique, and that is the Dolores Cannon method. She believed that you have to do it in person, but I mean, really, that she was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and onward. This was before the internet really blew up. I remember when I started taking the class, my guidance said, that's not true. You're going to do it online. And I remember thinking, like, okay, like, I didn't understand why they were telling me that. But now, as I learned, there's no such thing as time. There's no such thing as space. Everything exists right here, right now. So there is no, you know, our separation is an illusion. Look at us. We're in different states. And now we're finally on the same time zone, because time is bullshit. It's not true. I mean, they decide when, you know, the calendar has changed so many times. And so really it's an illusion. It's what you believe, right? So at the time I discovered Dolores Cannon, I was just in love with her. And I knew that I had to do this thing that she did. I didn't even know they offered classes. I just knew I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to be like her. And so I was just desperately seeking all information on Dolores Cannon. So then I found out the price of the classes, and I was devastated because it was like almost $2,000. And I was about to get fired, and I'm like, how the hell am I going to swing $2,000? And, you know, I'm losing my job. I have children and house payments and car payments, and I couldn't. So I was devastated, and I gave up on it. That was in 2015. Then it came back around 2016. And I looked it up. I tried. Every time I would try, I would get knocked down. And I feel like sometimes, yes, it could be interference, but I think it's also the universe asking, how serious are you? You know, you have to be initiated. And I felt like some things are not just going to be given to you because you won't appreciate it. You have to, like, really, like, you know, Capricorn is a sign of the goat climbing that mountain with these tiny little cracks. And you see those goats, they climb that mountain on these little bitty cracks. And you're like, how the hell did he scale that mountain? And so you cannot give up. You keep going. You keep going. If it's meant for you, it is unstoppable. Nothing can stop it. It will come for you, and it will be there always. It will never leave you. So I tried, hit another brick wall, hit another brick wall. Long story short, 2017. Oh my God, I was at a very low point. It was my birthday, July of 2017. And this beautiful woman, Kat Kinney, who does cosmic numerology, gifted me a birthday session. That's another thing, weird thing that has always happened to me. People give me things. They just give it to me. They're like, here you go. And I'm like, oh, okay. and she gave me a free reading. And for my birthday, and Dolores Cannon made a special appearance. Now, going back, I forgot to mention, when I first started waking up, I started having dreams of red cardinals, a red cardinal bird. It would show up in my dreams all the time. And I mean, I live in Arizona. There's tons of red cardinals, but I had never noticed them before. Well, before I got fired, this freaking bird started following me. It would sit on my car. It would be out the kitchen window when I was washing dishes. It would be in the front window. It would be flying by when I'd leave the house. It would follow me as I was driving. I mean, weird, okay? This bird was everywhere. And all of a sudden, so then I'm like, okay, it felt when I saw this bird like I was being visited by God. It felt magical. So I didn't understand, why do I feel like this with this bird? So in the dream state, in the waking state, this bird. Then I come to find out that that is Dolores Cannon's logo. And it's even a part of her induction. She talks about a red bird, the cardinal, and she's from Arkansas, and there's plenty of cardinals in Arkansas, and it was linked to her. And then she's coming out in my reading, and she tells Kat, who tells me, tell Sylvia that she needs to share her story. Because I remember I came to Kat and I said, okay, there's this thing called QHHT, and I know I'm supposed to do it, but I can't afford it, and I don't know why the universe keeps shoving it back in my face. Every time I give up on it, I push it away, and here it comes back, and again and again and again, in all these different ways, and I can't get away from it, and I'm in love with it, but I don't see how. How can I do this? And she said, Dolores is saying you need to write to her company, and she's going to give you a scholarship. And I'm thinking, what? No, she's not. And I was so embarrassed. I didn't want anybody to know that I got fired. I was so humiliated, and I felt broken. And I just felt like I was just shameful and guilty because of what I went through. And everybody on the outside's telling me that I'm fucked up and I ruined it and I did something wrong, and I believe them. So in my mind, I didn't want anybody to know my story. I wanted to hide. I wanted to disappear. And she was calling me and asking me, you need to share your story, and I'm going to give you a scholarship. And I'm thinking, how are you going to give me a scholarship? You're dead. So I just questioned everything. It didn't make any sense. I was so ashamed. So finally, I waited. I didn't do anything for a few weeks. And then I said, you know what? Screw it. What have I got to lose? These people don't know me. It's private. It's an email. I never have to see them again if nothing comes of it. I have nothing to lose. So I sent this long email because she said, don't leave anything out. Say everything, even the bird, getting fired, all of it. So I sent this super long email, and I said, Dolores said to send this to you. And I was so embarrassed, and I thought I was crazy. Nothing happened for a few weeks. Actually, I think it was a couple of months. I didn't hear anything. And I was like, yeah, I knew it was bullshit. I was, you know, it wasn't true. I was kidding myself. And I get this big fat envelope in the mail. And it's from Dolores's company, and there's a little red bird on it. And I open it up, and it's like, congratulations, you got a scholarship. And I'm like, oh. And then again, like a hug and a slap at the same time, they're like, but you got to pay a fee. And I'm like, it might as well be $1 million because I don't have it, right? But by this time, I am fired. By this time, we're struggling so hard financially. And I mean, we're fighting all the time, me and my husband. And I tell him, look, I got this scholarship. And he thinks I'm crazy. And we're just arguing because we're clashing. He doesn't know who I am anymore because I'm different. I'm waking up and I'm somebody different. And he is freaking out internally because, like, who the hell is this lady? Like, this is not who I married. Get back in your cage. Get back in your box where I can control you. And I can tell you what to think and say and feel and do, but don't think for yourself, you know? No, that's scary. If she realizes how huge she really is, she's going to leave me. She's going to, you know, she's going to see how small I am. So he went into full panic mode. So I remember thinking, I don't give a fuck what you do or if you leave. I have to do this. I have to. I just knew it. I had to do it. So I was very sad. And I remember calling my sister saying, oh, I got this thing, but they want me to pay a fee and I don't have the money and we can't even pay our bills. How am I going to pay this fee? And I felt so angry. I remember thinking, God, why did you give me this gift if I can't do it? You know, I don't have the funds. If you want me to do this, I'm willing to look crazy and do it. I'm willing to piss off my husband and do this. But if you want me to do this, bring me the resources that I need to do it. So I remember having that heart to heart with the universe. And then my sister said, you know, get it off your mind, clean the house, you know, get rid of junk, clean out the garage, keep busy, and that'll keep you from going insane, essentially. So I said, yeah, you're right. She's like, you should download this app and you can sell junk and clean out your house. And I did it, and I sold my kid's bike and whatever. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'll do that. You know, I'll just keep busy, because at the same time, I'm still submitting resumes to all these law enforcement agencies, and they're all calling me. I would get really close, and it looked like I was going to get hired, and then boom, the door would slam, and nope, we don't want you. And I'm thinking, why? But at the same time, I feel because they wanted me to do the QHHT. They didn't want me to go back into the dark and back into law enforcement and back into the matrix. They're like, that's not who you are anymore. That training is over. You can't go back to kindergarten. You're not in kindergarten anymore. You can't sit in those little chairs. You're bigger. So that was such a struggle for me, because I love being in that environment, but they're like, no, not for you, not for you. So I remember I made $500 off that little app with garbage in my garage. And I had enough to pay the fee and enough to pay bills that we were behind on. And I remember it was the end of 2017 and Mercury was retrograde, and I wanted to stack all the chips in my favor. So I remember I purposely waited until 2018 came in, because I did not want any of that, you know, astrological influence to hinder me in any way. You're not supposed to begin anything new during a Mercury retrograde. And I mean, if you've already started something, then it's okay to go ahead with it. But typically, and we're about to go into Mercury retrograde again in November. So I remember waiting until January hit, and then I started running with the QHHT, and it has taken off like a rocket ship. This thing has a mind of its own. It has an energy of its own. And I feel like I'm just a passenger in the rocket. Like, I'm like, oh, what? Wow. I've had amazing sessions, even with my own kids. Fascinating. My little boy. Wow. The things that have come out of that kid's mouth. And my daughter. That's when I started really learning what was going on behind the scenes, where I worked at, why I was fired, the energies that were going on. And that reminds me of when I caught them doing things to me. If we have time, I can go into that.
Yeah, go ahead. We got a few minutes. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So a year before I was fired, I didn't know I could do this. And again, I think a lot of us have abilities. We all have abilities, but we push them away. We're like, oh no, I'm just imagining that. That's not real. But we all have these abilities. So it's whether or not you're brave enough to actually run with it. And then the more you pay attention to it, the more they'll give you. They'll give you a lot more. They're like, oh, she's listening. Oh, he's listening. Let's give him more. So at the time, I didn't know that I could do this. As a kid, I remember being around my dad and thinking sexual thoughts. I would see graphic sexual images in my mind. I didn't know why, because I didn't know what sex was. And like I said, he was sexually abusing me and my sisters. And I felt naked around him, but only when he was around. And yeah, it happened again with others, but I started noticing the pattern. And in hindsight, I was picking up his emotions. I was picking up his thoughts, and I didn't know that I was doing it. So I always had this ability. I just didn't know what it was. I thought I was nuts. I didn't know that this was an ability, and I thought I was just making it up. So I didn't know that I could do this. And one night I was going to sleep, and in my third eye, with my eyes closed, I saw these beings come into my room. There was a bunch of them. There was at least 12. And I knew what they looked like. I knew how big they were, how tall they were, their mass, where they were in the room in proximity to me in my bed, and their thoughts. I could hear them. And I wasn't communicating with them verbally. I was communicating with them telepathically, but they didn't know that I could see them. And I remember when they first came to me, there was this moment of, oh shit, she can see us. Oh shit, she could hear us. And they didn't know what to do. So I remember there was this pause of confusion, and they were waiting for their superiors to tell them what to do. Do we leave? Do we go? Do we stay? Like, you know, is it okay to stay? I didn't know who they were. I didn't know why they were here, but I wasn't afraid of them. So in my naivete, I thought if something is malevolent, you're supposed to be afraid of it, but I wasn't afraid. So that kind of tricked me into thinking that they were good. So I thought, well, are they ghosts? Are they aliens? I didn't know what they were. So I'm thinking, okay, they just stand here, because they would show up every single night, but only when I was alone. I started noticing the pattern of only when I was alone. If my husband was next to me, they wouldn't come in. If one of my kids was with me, they wouldn't come in. Only if I was alone in bed, and always at night. And at first, for a very long time, it lasted more than a year. For a very long time, they would just stand and watch me. They would stand in front of my bed, not close, but in front of it. And it was a group of them. I knew if one left, I knew if one came in, and they would just watch me. And I didn't know why, but I'm like, okay, if you want to stand there, go for it. And I would just go to sleep. Then it progressed, and they started touching me. And I thought maybe they're curious. And in hindsight, now that I know more, maybe they were probing me, maybe they were putting stuff in me, because I could feel them touching my skin, my eyes, my mouth, my face, and I didn't know why. I thought, oh, maybe they're curious. Then it progressed, and they started scratching me, they started hitting me, and it got to the point where I was really scared to go to sleep. So I would force my kids to sleep with me so that I could sleep, because I had to go to work. And then the absolute scariest that it got, I was home alone, and I had to work a double shift, and I had to sleep. And I was so scared to go to sleep, because I knew they were going to come harass me. And I mean, I asked them, leave me alone, leave me alone. They would not leave me alone. And so I was really scared, because I didn't know what they were going to do now. They were hitting me now. They were scratching me now. And I was in panic, but I had to go to sleep. So I took a Benadryl, and I went to bed, and I woke up paralyzed. I could not move. I just had tears running down my face. I was in full-blown panic, because I'm thinking, oh, I can't scream. There's nobody home anyway, but I can't move either. And I couldn't open my eyes. I was just frozen. And then I hear drilling in my head like a jackhammer tearing up a sidewalk in my brain. And they're drilling, and I'm freaking out, because I could feel it. I could hear it. And they were all around me. They were on top of my bed. They were on top of me. They were behind me. They were operating on me. And I knew they were operating on me. I knew they were changing something. They were removing something, but I didn't know what it was. And they would not stop. And I'm thinking, okay, if you're not malevolent, why aren't you letting me move? Why are you pinning me, forcing me against my will, imposing yourself on me? And I'm telling you to stop, and you're not stopping. So you're not my team. You're not, you're not good. So all I could think to do was call for help. And I started praying in my mind to God, to Archangel Michael, and to Jesus. I said, please help me stop this. And I called them in, and like that, quick, super fast, everything just stopped. They disappeared. They were gone. And everything stopped, and they never came back again. And I was fascinated by that, because all it took was me asking for help, for intervention, and it came in lightning quick. but I guess they were waiting for me to ask for it because they don't want to interfere with your free will. So I had to ask, and they swooped in, and I was saved. And in sessions, I remember asking my daughter, in my daughter's session, I said, what were those things that came into my room that were doing that to me? She told me that they were from where I used to work at, that it was dark entities, that they were ETs, and that they were controlling that agency and many others. And do you see how that's how they started showing me the micro is like the macro. They're being controlled. They're being controlled. And they wanted me to get back in my cage and go back to sleep. I said, why me? And they said, because you're very powerful and you're going to help a lot of people. And they know your path. It's kind of like that movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Jupiter Rising, right? Where they go back in time to kill her because they know who she is. So if anybody's interested, watch that movie, Jupiter Rising. I think they changed, that's a Mandela effect too. Jupiter Ascending and Jupiter Rising. There's 2 titles.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a Mandela effect. So whichever reality you're in, look up Jupiter Rising or Jupiter Ascending. And they tried to stop me, but they couldn't. And I said, why couldn't they stop me? And they said, because you're too powerful. They thought you were weaker, but you're not. And that's why they were freaked out that you saw them, because they knew that you were powerful, but they didn't know how powerful. And so you freak them out because they thought, oh, this is going to be easy. And then they're like, oh shit, it's not easy. It's going to be harder than we thought, you know? So they tried to stop me. They said that they were malevolent ETs and that they're controlling a lot of people and that they were doing it to everyone. But I caught them. They're doing it to my husband. They showed me how they put things in your head when you're asleep to put the veil back over you and to plant dark thoughts in you. And they want that root chakra, that ego-based 3D to be the predominant vibration that you hold, so that you're constantly feeding them. Your alcohol, you're constantly numbing yourself, drugs, sex, attention, TV, food, anything outside, you're just constantly feeding them because they're plugged into you and they're feeding off of you, and you are their food source. And they're using you like a puppet to do things, because then you trigger others and then they become food for them. So it's just a vicious circle. It's a virus. It's a virus that seeks to repeat itself, like fear.
Oh,
Fear is a virus.
interesting that you say that virus, because the Gnostics were the ones that said that the archons put a virus in the humans to make them more susceptible to religion, to keep them controlled.
Wow. Yeah, because you can only be controlled when you're scared.
Yeah.
When you're brave and you're happy and you're in your power, nothing can scare you.
Yeah.
So they don't want that. They don't want you standing up, strong, happy. They want you suppressed, looking down, being scared, being afraid, because you're docile. You're easy to manipulate. You're easy to trick. Like I remember in my family, I come from a Hispanic family and a heavy Catholic, and the way they raise kids and control them is by lying to them. And they would say, the devil's going to punish you. The devil's going to get you. God's going to punish you. Everybody's going to punish you. You have to be afraid of everything. You have to be afraid of God. You have to be afraid of the devil. You have to be afraid of people. You have to be afraid of everything, of sex, of everything. They just make you really, really scared, because then they can control you. And, oh, mommy said, don't do that. Mommy said, don't go there. So the way they raise kids is by pushing them down, making them little. And through no fault of my mother's, she didn't know. That's how she knew. But now our job is to raise our kids empowered. The opposite of how we were raised. We were raised with fear. So now our kids' predominant vibration must be love. You are loved. You are precious. You can do anything. Because why? Because I didn't have it and I hated it. I had to claw my way out of that dark pit, but I don't want you in that dark pit. I want you in the light.
Yeah. Well, we got to starve them out. You know, they can't feed off of that higher vibration. They can only feed off the lower, you know, negative
Yes.
fear vibration. So we need to starve them out.
Yeah, starve the dark, feed the light, and you can't force feed anybody light. You offer it, and you just hold space for them.
Yeah.
So you hold space for them, and when you're ready, I'm here. I will help you, but I'm not gonna make you. I'm staying over here, and I'm gonna be happy. You want to be miserable? Go for it. I will wait for you right here because I know that sucks. I see the road that you're headed, and it's not pretty. But they don't see it because they're under the illusion. They're under the illusion of, right now, the illusion is that the dark is winning. The dark is not winning.
Right.
The light is here, and we've already won. We've already won. We're just playing this game out. And
it's up to us. You know, it's like the event. Everybody keeps waiting for this event, for something that's going to happen to us.
Yeah.
You know, we have to make it happen. We're not going to wait around for it to happen to us. We have to go after it.
We are the event.
Yeah.
We are the event. Yeah. And I was guilty of that too. I was waiting. I was like looking for the clouds and the mist and all that crap. And you know, talking about it constantly. And I feel like it is a thing, but it's not the way we thought it was.
Yeah. That again was that false light trap, that little bit, you know, they give us enough to keep us going.
Yeah.
But then they give us enough false mixed in with that to keep us, you know. So
yeah. So true. Yeah. So now I do QHHC sessions. I do them in person. I do them online. Online is called Beyond Quantum Healing because QHHT is trademarked. It's the same thing, but we have to call it something different because they're trademarked, and their rule is that you have to do it in person. So I do sessions online from people all over the world. I do it on my kids. I do it on my kids' friends. I do it on my friends. It's just fun. It's fun. It's interesting. I have so much fascinating information that I want to put out, but I haven't had time because I'm cleaning out the 3D garbage. I'm throwing out the trash and that old life. And when I get through with that, I will emerge anew and share with the world. I feel like all of us are being called to stand up, stand in your light, share your story, share your truth, your brave vulnerability. Use it. Stand up. You're beautiful. You're a warrior. You can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. And we're just constantly reminding ourselves of that. Me included. I have to remind myself because there are times that I'm like, oh crap, can I do this? I don't think I can. I don't want to do it today. I want to go back to sleep. Right?
Yeah. Well, you know, there you have it. I mean, you know, we get all caught up into, oh, you know, I'm a badass indigo. You know, us indigos, we can be a real pain in the ass at times because we came here to system bust.
Yeah.
But we can't let the dark side constantly drag us down. And we're not in this alone. I mean, we're all going through it. And that's what
we're finding each other. Tribe is coming together right now.
Yeah. So that's why it's so good for everybody to get their stories out.
Yeah.
And we can all do it. And we just got to stand up for each other. I know there's some dissonance going on in the groups, the different groups out here, but we need to come together. So.
And there's so much we can talk about because I believe that the spiritual world has been hacked. They have infiltrated us. I feel like this is like Nazi Germany and we're the resistance. We're the resistance that's meeting in private and secret, and we're in the trenches pretending to be dark, but that's how we're going to bust through by being the example. I brought light to that agency. I showed others, this is what a real bitch looks like. I'm telling the truth. And then maybe I've inspired others to do the same. Like, hey, hold up. That's wrong. You're not going to do that. You know, not on my watch.
Yeah. Well, and that's like I said, you know, I've said this before, it's not all unicorns farting rainbows, you know.
No. Sometimes you have to use that sword that you came with.
Right.
You have to.
That's right.
Yeah.
It might have caught us a little bit by surprise, those of us who heard the calling, because we came here and we didn't realize how dark and how tough it is here.
Yes. Oh
Like,
my
can you
God.
imagine once we get to the other side, what we will have learned and gleaned from this? Oh my God.
Oh, in looking back in hindsight, even now, I'm like, I'm so proud of myself because wow, that was hard. It was like just all these impossible choices over and over and over.
And you could have gone back to the 3D. You could have gone all back to that and said, I can't do it anymore. But
yeah, they tried. They either wanted to seduce me to be on their team, because I've had a lot of handlers, a lot of alphabet agency handlers that are my neighbors, weird enough, that tried to befriend me, tried to have an affair with me, tried to, again, and then I heard in my mind, sexual ritual, don't do it. So I'm like, I mean, I'm not with my husband, so really it's not a sin. He left me. I didn't kick him out. I didn't leave him. He left me. So like, yeah, it gets lonely. I could have, but my guidance was keeping me on a very tight leash. You are not wasting your kundalini. You're not wasting your chi. You're not wasting your jing, your energy on any random mofo. Nope. This is sacred. You are healing yourself. And I feel like those that have sex with just anybody, no, don't do it. Especially if you're healing, that you can recycle your energy and heal yourself that much quicker if you abstain, if you take a vow of chastity, not a vow, but I'm saying like, if you use that energy for yourself, to heal yourself, because you don't want to call in another joker that you just threw away. You don't want that same thing again, because the lesson will keep showing up bigger, louder, bolder. And if you don't learn it the first time, it's going to hurt that much harder the second time. Don't do it. Heal yourself.
That's right. Right.
So, I mean, we're surrounded by dark, and it will never stop inviting you. It will never stop seducing you or trying to get you. Either they want you on their team or they want to kill you. Those are the two. So look for those themes.
Yeah.
And beware. Guard your energy.
That's right. Yeah. Protection, you know. So, well, that was just a great talking to you. And, you know,
talking to you.
If you want to get a session with Sylvia, her links are below in the description, and contact her. And I know you'll be back because I think we have so much to discuss.
Oh, so much. Yes.
We're on fire now. Look,
we are. Yes.
So, but it's great to have you, and thank you to everybody for sticking with us. And we'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.